Good evening and welcome to the live stream of your race department Grand Prix series. My name is Paul Glover and joining me this evening for round 3 at Interlagos in Brazil is the one and only best co-commentator anybody could ask for, Peter Lee. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, you're too kind.
And how are you on this Sunday evening?
I'm okay. Yeah, the weather's in the UK is nice for once, so it makes a change.
It does indeed. And I'll just be watching the practice session this evening. And Dan Long has headed the table once again. Winner both the previous rounds for us, Peter. And setting the pace again a little bit like Lewis Hamilton did earlier on in the Formula One today.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, top of the standings at the moment, just under 2 tenths ahead of Matt Legale. But all the same at the front and setting some very competitive lap times here.
So that's what we saw last time out, didn't we? It was just a couple of attempts, and then when it came to qualifying, he kind of jumped ahead of everybody else. So I wonder if we're just going to see a repeat of that, and because Christian Maru is currently third in practice, but it's just practice, isn't it? We don't know, the fuel loads that people are putting in. There's lots of unknowns at the moment, so we're just waiting for the end of practice. But if we kind of recap, Peter, the last couple of races, at the front, there's normally been a bit of a breakaway, and it's been kind of closely packed from, say, 5th to 10th, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think both 2 rounds has been very hotly contested. 2 different winners so far, and just 1 point between the first 2 and 3 points between the first 3. So it's very hotly contested at the top of the standings, and especially if the first 2 rounds are anything to go by, this one should be another cracker.
Yeah, so Dan Long, as I said, racer for Racers in Pyjamas team, came first in Suzuka and Zandvoort last week. Christian Maru came second. Sorry, he's currently but Christian Maru's sorry.
Third at Suzuka, second at Zandvoort.
That was it. Yeah.
Dan Long got third at Zandvoort.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at the table now, and I'm not reading it correctly. But he currently leads the championship, followed by Christian Maru, who's Pyjama Racing, and then Charles Bacchio, currently your man in third for Talk Door Racing 2. There's last couple of races out. There's been a couple of places lost in the kind of dying laps of the race, isn't there? So. Which means it's constantly being contested, which is great to see. People are pushing throughout the race, Brazil, completely left. It's anti-clockwise, this circuit. I think it's the only one in Formula One. I think it's probably one of the only tracks in out there where it's anti-clockwise. Are you expecting the same kind of breakaway from the leaders again this evening?
Yeah, I think we'll have something similar to Suzuka, to be honest. Another circuit with long straights, followed by slow corners. Of course, you've also got the higher speed corners as well, and that very long straight going from the final corner to turn 1. I think in the previous 2 rounds, we've not seen too much slipstream overtaking, but I think in this one, we might see a little bit more due to the extra length of the straight. So I think it'll be interesting to see who can come out on top at the end, and we might see some more tactics come into it as well as just general out and out pace.
Yeah. So just a reminder for this evening, the kind of the schedule. So they're currently doing completed practice, which is a 20-minute session. Qualifying should be getting underway in a minute or so, and that's a 25-minute session. Then we have a 5-minute warm-up, as you can see on your screens, and then we have a 45-minute race. Formation lap, and then standing start. 100% damage as we watch one of the drivers go off there. Not sure who that is. I don't see a skin loaded, or they might just have a very basic skin. Also, sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there. 100% damage, which is, as I think we've touched on the last 2 races, Peter, is that the slightest little clip, and it kind of throws their race really into doubt.
Yes, and I think it's the first time I've run it in here in race department, and I think it's been an overall success in these first 2 rounds. We've seen drivers be a little bit more cautious, which is always good to see. A little bit less wheel banging. Not that there was before, but certainly now there's a lot less than there was before. And I think that's certainly heated up the competition at the front. And as we can see, with 3 races still remaining, plus the 1-hour feature race at Silverstone, we've got 3 points separating the top 3. I think it's going to be very exciting as they go into qualifying.
Indeed, indeed. So we can now join the qualifying session as I bring the sound in. And let's get qualifying under the way. It's what I like about this game is it's kind of like very very realistic in the sense that everybody can get to the end of the pit lane before qualifying actually starts, which it reminds me of watching Formula One with the likes of Lewis Hamilton, etc., is trying to get out before their competition. So we're currently looking at Matt Legale, who was second in the practice session in one of the TDR cars. Lovely yellow livery. It's had a couple of decent outings the last couple of rounds, but currently he is where in the championship? I'm just looking for
19th.
19th. Well done. You got there before me. He probably won't be too pleased with that. He didn't score last time out. But he's had quite eventful races. I remember in the previous league, he also was quite seemed to be get caught up in. He just seems to be one of those drivers, doesn't he?
Yeah, he never seems to quite be able to pull a season together. He's a very quick driver overall, as you can see by his 1-lap pace in practice, just a 10th off Dan Long's top time. But yeah, when it comes to the race, Matt made a few mistakes at Suzuka, and then ultimately at Zandvoort he had an incident which caused him to retire. So I think if you can hold a race together, it'll be on for a top result. But as you can see with just that one result, it's dropped him right back to 19th in the standings.
So something he's just pointing out himself in the chat, but I had also noticed it looking at the practice, is Joseph Wright, one of the league organisers, was higher up in that session than we've previously seen. So he's confident of a better kind of showing this evening. He's currently 13th in the standings for Stendon/NHL Racing Team, and his teammate Leslie Burlage is currently 22nd. So they apparently both were. So I think Joseph finished P12 and Leslie Burlage finished P16 in the practice session. So they're hoping for a better showing this time out. Also, I know there's not a mandatory pit stop, but they may have to do a splash and dash with 1 or 2 laps to go. Some may decide to come in a little bit earlier. Some may have to be forced to come in due to damage on their cars. As we watch Matt Legale, we're waiting for the times to start appearing on the boards. Matt Legale is sector 1 and 2 and 3 and goes top of the leaderboard at the moment with 1:33.3. So that's his first timed lap, and Charles Bacchio follows through with a 1:34, and then Eric Okvik has just been pushed out there by Anders Meyer with a 1:34.4. Eric Ogverk, has done a 1:34.4 as well. So tight there. And already some Matt Legale showing he might be a bit stronger here this evening. And Paulie Ahonen's just slotted into second place with 1:33.8. So we haven't seen Dan Long set a time yet, but I wonder if he might go straight to the top of the leaderboards, Peter.
Yes, and there goes Christian to the top of the leaderboards. Christian Moreau up to the top of the leaderboards by 0.06 of a second ahead of Matt Legale. Maz Papanglou is currently third, 24 thousandths back from our leader. Dan Long's only just started a lap, so it'll be a minute or so before we get his first time on the board. But yes,
let's
Matt,
watch him then. Let's stick with the potential P1 man as we go around the circuit. I'm just going to have to go take some chicken out of the oven, so I'll be back with you in a minute. So I'll just the timer's just gone off. Yeah. So yeah. If you could just talk round as you follow Dan Long, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, no problem. He's just heading through the middle sector at the moment. Slightly wide there, but you may find it helps him through this next section as he comes up the hill towards the next hairpin. And One of the things I was going to mention is, of course, Matt Legale set a 1:33.3 in practice as well. So that time he set in practice is immediately replicated in qualifying. And we've still got the track getting grippier and grippier, of course, with the real road settings on. A very nice 19 degrees ambient temperature here at Interlagos, 25 degrees track temperature. As Dan continues on his lap towards the end of the lap, he's got a nice little bit slipstream from Leslie Burledge, I believe that is, who's just popped up into 10th position. In fact, no, it's not Leslie Burledge, but alas. And Dan goes 4th position, so not on top as we expected, but still there or thereabouts, a 1:33.4 second lap time.
It's very close,
just over
isn't it?
10th. Yeah, just over a 10th behind our leaders, and Craig Patterson also looking strong as well, who we've seen do well in these first 2 races, I believe.
He's currently 6th in the standings for Pajama Racing. Yeah, he had a really good time out actually last time. He scored 22 points. Which I think is probably one of his better finishes that I've seen from Craig Patterson.
Yeah, I've seen Craig do well, particularly in Automobilista leagues, but certainly on this side of things, on the R Factor 2 side, this is a great result for Craig in the Pajama Racing car. Of course, teammate to Christian Moreau, who currently leads the
Dan Long
standings.
makes an exit and then goes straight. So let's go and have a look at one of the guys at the back, Jon Hulbert. Currently, I don't think he's scored any. Has he scored points? Where is the man? Yes, he's currently 8th in the. He scored 18 points in both races, so a consistency there. So should it be currently at the back of the, of the timing boards at the moment? So I'm expecting to pop up. I don't think he's set a time yet. We've got a couple of drivers who haven't set times. We've got Daniel Watkins, Tom Watts, and Andrew Harper, and Jon Hulbert, who we're currently watching.
Yes, and Daniel Watkins done 6 laps already, so must have had a few incidents on these laps that he's been doing, slightly wide at the final corner as well. And we've seen Daniel do very well in the previous 2 races, currently sitting 4th in the standings, so this is very unlike him to not set a lap time. Jon Hulbert goes up to 11th position, 1.2 seconds down on our leader, and Matt Legale has set the benchmark even higher, first driver into the 32s.
Look at that, 32H, yeah, very nice. So much, it's constantly evolving this as we still wait for Tom Watts and Andrew Harper to... Tom Watts is currently in the garage. Andrew Harper is out on track. He's teammates with... I'm going to think he's teammates with Jon Hulbert, because they've both got the same skin, so I'm making an assumption there. Let me...
I think he's part of the 3rd Pajamas team, Pajamas on Races.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah. So
I don't think he has a teammate.
Okay, fair enough. They got the same kind of looking skin, which made a presumption. So yeah, as he comes down the straight into the left-hander, I love Interlagos. It's one of my favourite circuits actually. I'm not like I like the way it's. I think it's because it's quite a traditional track in a sense, and it, as you pointed out earlier on, it has got one of the longest straights as well, which I'm hoping we'll see some overtaking into that turn 1. But as we all know, if you don't get that right, that's going to end up quite nasty into that first corner.
Yes, and we've seen that over the years that drivers have gone too quickly into that first section of corners and their races ended before it's even begun. But hopefully tonight we'll see the drivers be very clean, as we have in the first 2 rounds. Minimal incidents on the first lap, the odd running wide, etc. that you'd expect, but other than that, drivers have been very neat on the first laps of these races, and hopefully that will continue here at Interlagos. But yes, as you say, a very original track, designed back in the early 90s, redesigned back in the early 90s.
I'm just going to cut you right there. Andrew Harper's about to complete his lap. I think he's going to pop into the top 10 or something, because these 2 sectors are looking pretty good. Where's
24th.
20. Oh, okay. I thought he was going to do better than that. I was looking at, he's trying to work it out. It is tight out there. He's 400th down on 23rd. I was just looking at his sector times, trying to work it out, because he did a 23.8, 48.9. It was the second sector that kind of let him down. He's a couple of tenths off, so Yeah, there's still some time to be found there for Mr. Harper. So yeah, you're right. It was designed in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, redesigned in the 90s. It was originally about 8 kilometres long, and then they've shortened it to this 3 or 4 kilometre circuit that you see here today. And I believe Ayrton Senna actually helped to redesign it in the early 90s and had his say in the way the circuit should be run, and perhaps some of his racing knowledge has been put down into good use here. And certainly in the recent topic of should racing drivers have their say in racing circuits, as you can see on our race department website. Certainly Ayrton has done a very good job.
So I'm just looking at the drivers who haven't scored any points so far in either round. So this is one of them, Christoph Maj. He's currently 23rd out of 27 drivers. Hoping for a better time out. You know, it'd be nice to get some kind of points on the board for him this evening.
He's currently 16th in the standings.
Oh, okay. It hasn't updated on my. It's updated on my screen. Showing 23rd for me.
Oh, I thought you meant points overall in the championship.
No. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I'm looking at the wrong. I'm looking at the wrong driver. I'm looking for this man, Krishnik Halili. I tell you what, I'm good at this, aren't I? This streaming lot.
We'll let you off. You've got a lot of things to juggle.
I'm just under 14 minutes of the session to go. Yeah, this man here. Sorry, Krishnik Halili. No points. He's currently 9th in qualifying, putting out a strong performance in Interlagos. We're hoping to turn that into points this evening.
Yes, he missed the previous round at Zandvoort, but was present at Suzuka. Unfortunately, I think had a bit of an incident sometime in that race. But yeah, Kreshnik looking very comfortable here in the top 10. And just behind him is our Zandvoort winner, Tobias Rona, who's looking a little bit out of the ordinary here for Tobias, just in the top 10, but not where we'd expect him, of course. Nose points finish at Suzuka, and then at Zandvoort did the opposite by finishing first. So
yeah, just
probably hoping for somewhere in the middle.
Something like, you know, we all have our favourite tracks, don't we? So it's probably to do with that. I would imagine. You know, I mean, for me, Brands Hatch, you know, I seem to always kind of outperform the car. Really, I love that track. And I think it shows when it comes to you know, my results there. So yeah, Tobias Rona, as you say, won last time out for Talking Door Racing. So only currently in 12th right now. He's fallen back, hasn't he? There, a couple of places. So currently, Matt Legale is the pole man with 132.8, followed by Christian Maru, Manos Popolongu, Dan Long, Craig Patterson, Tom Watts, Paulie Ahonen, Krishnik Halili even, Charles Bacchio, Brian Van Buscom, Anders Meyer, Tobias Rona, Cole Little, Sean Holbert, Leslie Burlage, Joseph Wright. Was hoping to be a little higher up, I think, than that. Daniel Watkin, Fernando Deutsch, Eric Ockverk, Johnny Stavros, Anders Jensen, Paul Fenwick, again, hasn't had a great couple of races. Simon Marshall, Christoph Mash, Andrew Harper, and Lorenzo Bodner at the rear. Lorenzo would expect to be higher than 26, wouldn't you?
Especially this home race, of course. Brazilian born and bred, and coming up towards the start of his next lap. He's got a good toe here behind a fellow driver. So hopefully this can escalate him up the field a little bit further.
Hopefully it won't, if he can get past, because otherwise it might ruin his lap before it's even begun as he goes into the first corner. A little bit of a lock up there from the Brazilian driver into the right-hander, and as I say, that car is kind of impeding him a little bit.
He has already set a lap time though, so up to 18th for Lorenzo.
Oh yeah, so a little bit higher, but we'd expect it to be a little bit higher than that, wouldn't we?
Yes, currently sitting 17th in the standings. Another of the Talking Door Racing cars to miss out on points at round 1, but came back with a bang with 6th position at Zandvoort. So yeah, 18th, a little bit lower than we'd expect from Lorenzo, and actually looked very strong at Zandvoort, as did all the Talking Door Racing cars. So perhaps just not able to find his feet here at his home race.
Dan Long currently in fourth at the moment, but if you look at the timing board, Peter, you see he's like 7 tenths. Is that 7 tenths, 7/8? I get the tenths and the hundreds of the tenths, but look how close it is between 4th, 5th, and 6th, and 7th, and 8th, and 9th. And look at it. Like, it's ridiculously close. Like, the times are ridiculous. They're so tight.
Yes, 4th to 12th, I guess you could say, covered by under 4 tenths. Which
but even
incredible.
but then you look at like Anders Meyer, he's a hundredth of a second behind Charles Bacchiol. The rest, that's how they're not even a hundredth of a second behind. That's how tight these timings are on the board right now. So yeah, Matt Legalle still leading the way. I'm impressed by that time. Yeah, I mean, he's currently in the pits, not setting any faster times. So just over 9 minutes to go. Are we likely to see an incident into the first corner here?
I think overall they've been very clean. Of course, we saw Tom Watts have a little incident on his own at the first round at Suzuka. I believe when his 1-year-old interrupted him, unfortunately.
Right, yeah. That is right, yeah.
But that'll be on the race department quiz 2018, won't it?
Yeah.
But yes, other than that, yeah, all been very clean in these first 2
Meyer,
rounds.
sorry, just got off to P4. So just come off my screen. So Johnny Stavros has just left the pits to set some more times. He's got 8.5 minutes remaining, and he's currently in 21st. Paul Fenwick had not long come out the pits as well. He's currently in 22nd, so he'll be hoping to improve on that time as well. So let's stick with Mr. Fenwick as he comes around to complete his first flying lap around Interlagos. As he comes into the first corner, into the braking zone. Oh, and he's off. That's not. Oh, and he's gone right behind the stewards. Out of the way, and he's parked it. I think he's going to go back to the garage. That's most unfortunate. Okay, so let's pick up. Who was the other one I wanted to pick up? Johnny Stavros. So here we go. He's coming up to complete his out lap. Lovely livery on that car, actually, as he comes up the hill. This track's got fond memories for me because it's where Jenson Button won his world championship in Formula One, and I had a bet on him during pre-season that he would win. I put 20 quid down. I think I won £250.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's also some good luck for somebody else and keep this championship hot because we've had different winners at the different rounds. So it'll be it's going to be interesting in the last couple. Daniel Long won the first round and Tobias Rono winning the second, but Tobias Rono didn't score any points in the first round, so he's currently 12th in the championship. But when it's 1 point per position, it keeps things nice and tight, doesn't it, Peter?
Yes, we ran it in the GTC last year and then the RDTCC earlier this year, and both were very successful with the closeness of the points, and certainly kept things interesting all the way to the last rounders. And as you said, we could see another different winner here because we've got its 4th position is our first winner at the moment. Dan Long has improved his lap time slightly over Andreas Murr, as has Manas Papanglou, both moving up the orders slightly, which has been great for those two. But yeah, Dan Long improving by half a second on that last lap. In fact, sorry, not half a second, only half a tenth of a second that last lap, but still able to get ahead of Anders Murr, and that's the kind of difference we're talking about here. And you can see Charles Baccio and Craig Patterson on identical times here in 6th and 7th.
Yeah. Johnny Stavros, sorry, he's just coming around. He's coming in 20th. He's coming around to complete his lap. Does he improve? No. Henry Jury has just been off the track, apparently. Tobias Rono is just coming out of the pits to start his out lap. So is Fernando Deutsch. and Anders Meyer. So here they all come now, and Lorenzo Bodner. So I'm expecting now, with 5 minutes on the clock remaining, Peter, a few more position changes. Lorenzo Bodner currently in 18th.
Yes, the last 5 minutes is always crunch time, and there's nothing to lose now for these drivers. They've had 20 minutes to get used to the track conditions, and they are perfect for racing this evening.
Yeah, air temperature about 19 degrees, track temperature 25, no chance of any snow, rain, hail, thunder. So,
nope.
Unlike Formula 1 today, when they were in Barcelona and the dark clouds, I think Fernando Alonso was hoping for some rain because he wasn't exactly on the pace. But Tobias Rona, just on board with him, he's just backing off a little bit to give himself a bit of a gap. There were 4 cars very close out on track. So he's doing the smart thing by backing off, giving himself a bit of space before he puts the pedal to the metal as he comes out of the final corner and up the hill, down to the start-finish straight, and going to start his flying lap. Peter, do you want to talk us through it?
Yes, and it's a very quick start to the lap here at Interlagos, currently coming up to 130 miles an hour as he goes into 5th gear, 140 as he starts his new lap, and then a difficult braking zone. You can brake quite late in these cars just due to their lightness, and gets it nicely turned in there for turn number 1, 1st gear through there, and then 2nd gear through turn 2, and 3rd gear out of the Este Senna, and then up towards the next corner, which is Decido del Lago, turn number 4, a long straight along the Reto Aposto for turn number 4, 80 miles per hour through there, and then up to 110 and 3rd gear through the 2nd apex there, and then this long right-hander at Ferradura, which brings them up to this tight and twisty middle sector, much of which is from the original Interlagos circuit that was built back in the 60s, I believe, through Pinarino, and then up to turn number 10, which is this short right-hander, and then Bico de Pato, which is this hairpin right. Keeping it nice and smooth. This is a good lap so far for Tobias as he goes through Megulo, turn number 12, and then Juncayo, which is this very important final left-hander, which brings them onto this swooping corner towards the end of the lap, through turn number 14 past the Cafe Chicane, which they're not using today, and then towards the line, and we'll see where this can put Tobias Rona, currently sitting in 12th position. Can he improve on that with this lap? It's been pretty good so far. And yes, 3rd position for Tobias.
Look at that. And he didn't, to be honest, it didn't show up on my screen as any personal best or anything like that. I mean, I can see Dan Long has fallen down now to 6th position. He's set, his personal best is set to 1 last time out. But yeah, no, that's great driving from Tobias Rona. But he's already been pushed back by Anders Meyer. Anders Meyer has come in there, and Lorenzo Bodner is in 6th. Who reckons? Hold on, it's telling me 2 things are telling me different things. It's really annoying. I've been told P16 on one screen. Yeah, he is in P16, so he's already.
Yes.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, and Anders Meyer, who's moved up into 3rd. So after Tobias Rona had gone there, so pushing him back to 4th. So yeah. A lot of movement, and 1.5 minutes on the clock remaining. Matt Legale is currently our pole sitter, is coming through to complete another lap and does a 1:33.4, which is not as quick as his 1:32.8, and goes straight into the pits. Tobias Rona is your 4th position man. We've got a couple of drivers just come out of the pits with Andrew Harper and Henry Dewey. I'm not sure if they're going to make it round in time to set another fastest lap. Good evening to all people watch us on the stream. Joseph Wright seems to think he's going to win this evening. I've got news for you, fella. I can't see that happening.
You've got little faith, Paul.
Unless it's thunderbolts and lightning, and it's very, very frightening. I can't see Joseph Wright getting anywhere near the top.
It might rain cats and dogs.
It might do. That will be something to see. That's for sure.
Yeah. Someone needs to mod that now.
So Tobias Rona.
One driver I'd like to quickly commentate on before we finish qualifying is Anders Jensen, who's currently 5th in the standings and 23rd in qualifying.
Right.
Nearly 2 seconds off the pace.
He's currently in the garage, so he's not going to go any higher than that right now, is he?
No, unfortunately for Anders, who's looked very strong here, but with 7 seconds on the clock remaining, it looks like Matt Legale is going to be the one who's going to qualify
we've got
on
two Anders,
pole.
which confuses things. You've got Anders Meyer and you've got Anders Jensen.
Yeah.
So, but Anders Meyer currently the better of the Anders right now. He's in 3rd position in his red livery car as he coming round to complete that. The timing is finished. It's at 0. So the drivers are now got out. So Andrew Harper's moved up to P25. By the looks of it, Paul Fenwick's moved up to P21. Joseph Wright is moved up to P18 after falling back down the leaderboard. John Holbert has moved up to P15. So yeah, it's nearly race time here this evening. And your pole sitter is Matt Legale. Can he turn that into a race win?
That is the question everyone's got on their lips at the moment, but 3 different pole sitters in 3 different races shows the competitiveness of this championship as Tobias Rona comes towards the end of his lap and goes into the pit lane. And Paul Honan, one of the last drivers on the circuit, as is Joseph Wright, who improves to 14th.
Yeah.
Joseph up the order, just over a second off the pace of Matt Legale, but
oh wow, yeah, Joseph Wright
final lap.
14th, yeah. Okay, so Pauline Honan doesn't improve, so yeah, unbelievable session there, I think, tonight, and we're going to be shortly going into warm-up time. That's annoying. I don't have a screen for warm-up. I didn't think. I've completely forgot about warm-up. I prepared everything else, but not that one. So we'll have to use the race screen for the moment. Hold on. Have I completely messed the stream up? Yes, I have. Right. So let me move that and that. Okay. So we'll wait for the drivers to get going again. I'll just keep an eye on things as we're... So yeah, so just to run through the qualifying results. Matt Legale, your pole position man this evening. Christian Maru in 2nd, Anders Meyer in 3rd, Tobias Runner 4th, Dan Long 5th, Manos Papalongu 6th, Charles Bacchio 7th, Craig Patterson 8th, Paulie Ahonen 9th, Tom Watts rounds out your top 10, and Peter will take you through the rest.
Yes, with just 3 laps on the board as well for Tom, so a very good lap in just those few laps he set. Van Booskamon is 11th from Kreshnik Halili. Eric Okkerberg is 13th. Joseph Wright, who improved on his last lap, is 14th ahead of his teammate Leslie Burlish. John Holbert is 16th with Lorenzo Bonda 17th at his home race. Daniel Watkin is in that very bright green SSR team liveried car is 18th ahead of Carl Little. Fernando Deutsch rounds out your top 20 ahead of Johnny Straforos, Paul Fenwick, Anders Jensen, who's a little bit further down than we'd expect, Simon Marshall, Christoph Marge, Andrew Harper, and Henry Drury, the last of the 27 drivers, as the drivers head out for warm-up. Last bit of time to get used to the track temperature, get used to the race fuel and the race setup before it's real.
Yes, indeed. So while you were talking there, I've managed to make a little warm-up screen. So yeah.
Wow, you're quick at editing.
Oh, I tell you, it's not. It's a little bit to the. Hold on. It's used the wrong one. That's annoying. I prepared that and everything, and it's not gone to plan. Why is that not appearing? That's better. Right, there we go. Right, so warm up. There we are. It's a little bit to the right. I'm going to move that, but oh Christ, I've moved something else by mistake. The funs of live streaming. I'll leave it where it is and I'll fix it later. Right, so 5-minute sessions are kind of I think we spoke about it last time out. You know, put the starting fuel load in because the car's gonna feel a little bit heavier. You know, if you're driving an Audi TT or a Porsche or a GT3, you don't feel the difference in the weight so much unlike these kind of open wheelers, do you? So getting out there, testing your setup with a fuel load is really important with 5 minutes to go, because you've been light fuel trying to do the quickest lap you can to get up the leaderboard.
Yeah, and it also gives you time to relax into a race rhythm as well, because on a 1 lap qualifying session, you've got just that 1 lap to try and get the best lap you can. Whereas in the race, you want to repeat that for 45 minutes. So obviously you're not going to be able to sustain the same level of pace. So drivers wanting to get used to that, as well as we see numerous drivers line up at the starting grid to attempt some practice starts. Also very important here before the race gets underway, and Matt Legale very cleanly away and into turn 1, and hopefully for his sake he'll have it that cleanly in the race as well.
Yeah, I hope so. Hope so too. As I managed to move the warm-up sign and fix everything while you were talking. So, thank you very much. Allows me to. It's very hard trying to do that, talk and everything else, and move cameras. And thank you to who is that? Fighter X for following us on Twitch tonight. Do give us a follow, and because you'll get notifications when we do streams. I did a stream last night for Group C at Imola, and on my own. That was a 75-minute race, Peter. Talking by myself, that was quite an experience.
Just a warm-up for this one.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a Seto Corsa. So currently, Anders Meyer setting the pace in the warm-up with P1, Leslie Bellage in P2, Simon Marshall P3, Cole Little P4, and Anders Jensen P5. As we watch your pole man, Matt Legale, and I'm hoping for his sake that he's going to have an uneventful race.
Yes, of course, he's got 26 other drivers to contend with to make it uneventful, but hopefully for his sake and the pace we've seen him having qualifying and in practice, he should have a good chance of performing well here today, and certainly it'll help elevate him up the standings. Currently 19th, and a winner definitely put him far up the standings, maybe even into the top 10. So it's going to be interesting to see who can come out on top here and lead the standings into the final 2 rounds.
Indeed. As we are nearing the end of the session with 40 seconds to go. Like I say, it's a good opportunity for the drivers to get a feel for the car, any track conditions that have changed. Put that fuel in, load it up, and Joseph Wright is taking the mickey out of me in the Twitch chat, so I'm going to ignore him. No need for that. So your commentary team this evening, my name is Paul Glover, and squeezing in the commentary box with me, it's tight in here, is my colleague Peter Lee, and we'll be taking you through round 3 at Interlagos, as we've got 5 seconds of warm-up remaining, and we'll be shortly starting the race. Like we said, it's good. We want people to keep it clean into corner number 1, because fuel loads are heavy, and you don't want to ruin your race in the first corner now, do you?
No. To finish first you must finish, and that's a statement for all drivers ahead of the race here tonight. We've got a wide first corner, but even so, drivers can get ahead of themselves, especially when they see a USF 2000 size gap appear in front of them.
But also, there is quite a bit of runoff there. So it's not like you can't just pull over to the right. If you're on the inside, you're in a bit of trouble. But I would imagine that what was I going to say? That if you're on the right, if you're on the side of the outside, you're a little bit safer because there is a bit of runoff as we just come to the end of practice, the warm-up session, Peter. So yeah, I mean, I would expect to see a few drivers go off at that first corner. As you hear the announcement over the PA for all drivers to get onto the grid, that's part of the game.
Yes, sorry, I didn't hear anything you said due to that guy rudely interrupting you.
I was just saying, I'm expecting a few drivers to overshoot that first corner tonight.
Yes, not an easy first corner, especially on lap 1, and especially turn number 2, because it tightens quite a lot in turn number 2. You think you can just go through there as quick as you did through turn number 1, but it's actually a slower corner than turn number 1, so it can be slightly problematic on lap number 1. Plus, we've got an uphill start to deal with for the drivers, so get those clutches engaged and into first gear and a foot on the brake as well.
So the drivers are now starting to appear on our screens. Your pole sitter, Matt Legale, is out of the garage. We've got a couple of drivers still in the garages. Brian Van Buskum, no, he's now on track. Daniel Watkin and Henry Drury are now on track as well, as we are awaiting the start of the round 3. So we've got the flying lap, the warm-up lap. So you have a warm-up and a warm-up lap. I mean, that's just being greedy, in my opinion, but it is what it is. And
yes. And the other thing is, this warm-up lap, we mentioned it as Suzuka, but it also is the difference between being able to complete the race without a pit stop and being able to complete the race with a pit stop. So while this is a good opportunity to warm the tyres up, it's also problematic because it means that you've got to lift and coast a lot and be very economical.
That's a very, very good point, that. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. As we go on board with Christian Moreau, who's second place man on the grid, who's looking at the back of Matt Legale, though already developed quite a bit of a gap and taking it very, very easy. Can hardly hear the engine.
No, he's in 4th gear at the moment and
Keeping
very
it.
Little throttle application.
Yeah. So trying to.
He's obviously heard me.
They're all doing it. Even the guy at the back, even Henry Drury's doing it. Going on board, you can hardly hear it. Normally the engines are screaming around about now.
Yeah. Obviously drivers have tested this before the race and realised that if they want to complete this race with no pit stop, they're going to have to lift and coast on this warm-up lap.
Indeed. And as Matt Legale coming round to complete the warm-up lap, it's always interesting to see how much of a gap. He's got quite a bit of gap between him and second place Christian Moreau. He doesn't want to have the gap too big because, like real racing, your tyres are going to cool down while you're sat there and your engine's probably going to get a little bit warmer.
Yep. How's your chicken doing?
Oh, chicken's good. Yeah.
Good,
I'll put it on the side to cool down. Thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Nice.
should have done that earlier. It's for if you really want to know, it's for lunch tomorrow at work. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Preparation. No.
Indeed. It's also cheaper than buying stuff when you're at work. So we're just going to look at Henry Drury, the last man, as Matt Legale is now coming into his spot. There we go. He's in place, nearly in place even. I think he's just doing a bit of wheel spin. There we go. And then we'll look at Henry Drury. We'll follow him. So that's how long now Matt Legale is sitting in his spot, in his grid position. That's a long time.
Yes, but the advantage is at the back of the grid that you're on a flat piece of tarmac. So Henry Drury's got a slight advantage that he doesn't have to try and juggle all 3 pedals at once while also getting this car off the line.
And here the engines are revving and we're off. We are off. As the race is underway into the first corner, and Matt Legale gets off to an absolutely brilliant start. Followed, and we got some details. Oh, we got a driver off at the back, and it's flying. I didn't even see who that was because it's flying through my screen so quickly with so much action behind us. So we're currently watching Brian Van Buskum, who's currently in 9th position. As we've got a driver who's trying to...
Oh, we've got Paul Fenwick off as well.
Oh,
a
at
big
the back
incident
there.
at the back.
Yeah, we've got John Holbert's come out the pits by the looks of it as well. So, Paul Fenwick is now down in 25th position. Got a couple of drivers, got green flags, yellow flags. We've got every single colour flag, I think, under the sun. And looks like Andrew Harper or Christoph Madge was involved in that as well as he goes past Paul Fenwick. It's a league race, not supposed to slow down, but he has anyway. And Andrew Harper looks to be stuck up against the barrier by the looks of it. There we go, and he's now underway. So let's go and join the front. Matt Legale already a second ahead from Christian Moreau.
Yeah, a very good start by Matt. Got the jump from the line and was able to hold it through turn number 1. Anders Mør tried to attack Christian into the centre S's, but was unable to be successful, and that's what's halted both of them here. As Anders is going to look for a pass here into turn number 1. He's right in the slipstream of Christian Moreau, who's in a fight for the championship here, so he's going to want to be quite careful. He defends the inside line, and Anders breaks just that slight bit earlier, and that's allowed him to stay in front at the moment. Further back, Paul Ahonen in a battle with Brian Van Booskamon for the top end of the top 10. And Dan Long's dropped to 13th.
Oh, yes, he has indeed. Yes, he has dropped to 13th. We were expected to see a little bit higher than that, as Krishnik Halili is in 9th position. So Dan Long qualified 5th, and Christian Halili qualified 12th. So
and we've got a lot of drivers in the pit lane.
And we've got a few drivers who have DNF'd as well. So Christoph Madge, Lorenzo Bodnar, Fernando Deutsch, and John Holbert have all DNF'd already.
Yeah.
So
there goes my prediction of a clean start.
Daniel Watkin, as you point out, is in the pits. Paul Fenwick is coming into the pits. Andrew Harper as well.
6 drives in the pit lane.
Yeah, that's
on lap 1.
That's quite a few. That is a lot. Must have been quite a bit of damage. You've got to remember there's 100% damage in this event tonight. So let's go back and look at your race leader. It looks like Anders Meyer's lost out a little bit to Christian Moreau, but it is still relatively close. It's just under half a second. But I think Christian Malik is right behind Brian Van Booskum as they come down the start-finish straight.
Yes, he is, as they go into turn number 1. As Halili looks for the inside. Boosman's going to give him quite a bit of room, but he might have the advantage here through turn number 2. He gives him quite a lot of room, though, and Halili able to swoop around the outside, but Van Boosman's going to have the slipstream down the Aposto Straight as they go into the Decido del Lago at turn number 4, and Van Boosman pulling out early from the slipstream and does go up the inside. Halili's going to hold it, though, and very successfully holds it and remains in 8th position. And just behind that is Joseph Wright, who's looking very comfortable there in 10th position.
Yeah, a little bit of a gap between these guys and Brian Van Booskum, but also Anders Meyer has now closed the gap to Christian Moreau a little bit. So and also Charles Bacchio is close to Tobias Rona, and Paulie Onan is also in very close proximity to Craig Patterson. So a couple little, not kind of, still a little bit bunched up as what we've seen the last couple of rounds between kind of 3rd, 4th, all the way generally up to about 8th generally, haven't we? So following that kind of form again tonight.
Yes, usually we have the top few who are just alien pace, and then the drives behind who are more human pace, and that seems to be the 4th to 8th battle at the moment, as we see the 2 drives, Paulie Ahonen and Craig Patterson, go side by side. Ahonen's going to try and go around the outside, but unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to do it. But onto the Retaposto Straight, he might have a good chance to get through. A very nice McLaren-esque livery there for Paulie Ahonen, as Craig defends ruthlessly to the inside of the straight. Of course, no one movement rules in Race Department Grand Prix Championship, just out and out racing, as Paulie Ahonen all over the back of Craig Patterson as they head towards Ferradura, this long uphill right-hander. It's actually quite difficult. It's double apex, but you've got to take it as one, and then a difficult braking zone into turn 8 and 9.
So quite a few drivers that we mentioned have gone into the pits. So Eric Ogver has left the pits now. Paul Fenwick's also left the pits, and so has Andrew Harper, though. They were all in there for quite some time, so Paul Fenwick is a lap down. So I'd imagine some of the other drivers, that will happen very shortly too. Joseph Wright is all over the back of Dan Long. Here we go. Come on, Joseph.
Yeah, unfortunately Dan's just overtaken him, hence why he's just behind him.
Oh, right, I missed that. Okay.
But yes, he is just behind Dan Long.
Well, that's a positive, isn't it? Yeah. So
after making the mistake on the first couple of laps, Dan now trying to recover, I suspect.
yeah, we have to find. We kind of missed what happened there at the start because there was a lot of activity. But yeah, Dan Long moved up into 10th position as Joseph Wright does have a look down into turn number 1. Just outside the top 10. This will probably be one of his better races so far for Mr. Wright, as Paul Fenwick, who's in recovery mode, is at the back last runner at the moment, because we've had Daniel Watkin, Christoph Madge, Lorenzo Bodnat and Fernando Deutsch and John Holbert all retire so far, which is the most amount of retirements we've had in the first couple of laps, Peter.
Yes, possibly even a race. Certainly this early on, we've not seen this many retirements, and I think 10 or 11 drivers so far who've had to come into the pit lane or have retired, which is very unlike this series that we've seen so far in the first 2 races. But 15 drivers currently on the lead lap. The last of those is Mamas Papanglu, who probably has a little bit of damage, but not enough to come into the pit lane, as they go through now to complete lap number 4. And Christian Maru is closing on Matt Legale, now under a second separates the two. In fact, these top 3 have evened themselves out a little bit, and Christian now finding his feet here at the end of lap number 4.
Indeed, this 3 are breaking away as we go on board with Anders Meyer and into the first corner. Matt Legale goes a little bit wide into the, but does manage to bring it back into the apex, and Anders Meyer looking very comfortable watching afar these two. He's probably hoping they get into a little bit of a battle to slow them down, and it'll bring him in. Like we mentioned at the start, there isn't a mandatory pit stop, but we are suspecting drivers will have to do a splash and dash. As Matt Legale and Charles Maru both go a little bit wide into that corner there and kick up a bit of dirt. You tend to find that when you're following another driver, don't you, Peter? You tend to, if they go off, you tend to follow.
Yes, just partly due to the dirty air that's produced from the car in front, but also because you're following them that closely, that you just tend to do what they're doing, go into autopilot a little bit. So, and that's something that Christian there in second place has got to avoid. He's got to look for those different lines that he's going to be able to make the move from. And certainly these early stages, Christian and Anders are looking stronger than Matt Legale, despite the better start from Matt Legale from the start of the race. And for Christian, this is going to be very good for his championship, because if he can score 28 or 27 points here in this race, and Dan Long's down on 20 points, that's going to mean he can lead the championship by a good chunk of points going into the 4th race.
Indeed, and this will be make the championship very, very interesting, and we'll keep an eye on Dan Long's progress. He's currently in 10th position, as we are currently watching the 3-way battle for the top 3. So Matt Legale is currently your race leader. He was a bit of a hair out of the blocks. He created a bit of a gap, but the tortoise in Christian Maru, I think, is playing the long game and is slowly catching him in. So, and Anders Meyer in 3rd in the red livery behind is just watching from afar, not really getting too close. Might just see what unfolds in front of him. But on my screen, it's telling me to have a look at Paul Ahonen, who's currently in 7th position, chasing down Craig Patterson. Craig Patterson currently in 6th. This is a really good race from Mr. Patterson this evening.
Yes, a 7th last time out, I believe, at Zandvoort, 22 points on the board, and this time out it looks like he's going to go one better at the moment. But these two are currently closing up to the 2 talking door cars of Charles Batcher and Tobias Rona, who've been very close in these opening 10 minutes. And now Craig Patterson and Paulie Ahonen want a piece of that action and a potential 4th position. So this battle looks like it's going to develop and develop, as has the first place battle, which has opened out a little bit more. But I suspect once they get to the end of the straight, it will be closer.
We've got another DNF, I'm afraid. Mr. Fenwick has cut it quick. So that's another driver who's DNF. So that leaves us now with 20 runners, unfortunately, this evening. As we go back to looking
Yes.
at... Oh, as Christian Maru is making a move on Matt Legale into the first corner on the inside, goes up the curb and makes... And there's a little bit of contact. And I also think Anders Meyer might have just touched the back of Matt Legale a little bit there. Wonder if it would have damaged his front wing at all, either than Matt Legale and Anders. Hopefully not too much damage from that. It looks like to be the minimalist of contact there for both drivers.
Yeah, they got slightly confused there because it's Christian Maru isn't out in front, but it was showing him first and the second and first and the second. But he did make the move successfully and is now into the lead of the race. So no waiting around for Christian. Doesn't need a second invitation to get through, and he is now leading this charge from the front. And Anders Meur might follow him through. He can follow the pace of Christian. He's shown that in the first 10 minutes of this race. So if he can get past Matt Legale quite quickly, it might be a case of those two breaking away at the front, and that would certainly be good for Anders because he's currently 7th in the championship, a best result of 7th at the opening round at Suzuka, and looking to go even better than that here at Interlagos.
Yeah, so these three very hotly contested top three. Christian Maru has eked out a half a second gap on Matt Legale already. So wonder if that will continue to open up as we progress. Matt Legale keeping his nose clean, unlike the previous two races. He was involved in a few instances. Not far behind this, we've got Charles Bakker, who's currently in 4th. And then behind that, you've got Tobias Rona, Craig Patterson, and Paul Leone, kind of sharing the same bit of tarmac, really. All very closely contested between 5th, 6th, and 7th, and probably 8th as well there. Yeah.
This might be the chance for Craig. Tobias got slightly wide at turn 2, and that's allowed Craig to close right up. And this now has become a battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th because Tobias Rona has dropped off the back of Charles Baccio. So the two talking door cars now slightly separated. Charles Baccio 3rd in the championship, 4th in this race. A best result of 2nd at the opening round, which was a very dramatic finish to that race.
It was indeed, yes.
He lost the lead in the last couple of laps to Dan Long due to a pit stop. So hopefully for Charles it's going to be a better pit stop this time round if he needs one. However, as we've mentioned, it's a bit hit and miss on whether we do need a pit stop this evening.
Yeah, so it all depends on the that's why we spotted the drivers were hardly using the throttle during the warm-up, because they were keeping the revs very, very low and high gears just to try and see if they can avoid not having to pit. But also, these drivers here, especially the top three and these guys just a little bit further back, they're constantly in each other's slipstream, and what that does is that increases your revs and then increases your fuel usage. So I expect a lot of these drivers are going to have to do a splash and dash this evening.
Yes, possibly. Though it also does decrease drag and also decrease fuel consumption, so it might help them in the long run if you're running in a battle such as that battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. But if you're battling heavily with another driver, it can also take up more fuel.
Sorry, Matt Legale's right on the tail now of Christian Maru and Anders Meyer. It's very, very close up front right now, Peter.
Yes, sorry, I just got back to that group, and Matt only a 10th behind Christian, and the same for Anders as they accelerate out of turn number 9 and up towards turn 11. Matt so close to the back of Christian there. You could only fit a hair between the two of them. It was that close into there as they go into Juncayo, this last left-hander, and this is now, we've got to be early and smooth on the power, and it looks like Anders Meur has been the best of the top 3 on the power. Christian Maru breaking away a little bit from Matt Legale, but this is going to be a perfect opportunity for both of them as they gather the slipstream of the drivers in front, and 2 or 3 miles per hour difference between this top 3 as they go into turn number 1, and it is going to be a move up the inside for Anders Meur. Can he make it through? No. Matt Legale very well holds it around the outside, but he's gone wide on the grass, and that's going to give Christian Maru a little bit of breathing space but it's also going to allow Anders Meer to get into the slipstream. He pulls out early so he doesn't hit the back of Matt Legale and decides not to make the overtake this time round, just due to the lack of distance he was alongside at that point. And very considerate driving there from Anders there to stay in that third position and not compromise his and Matt Legale's race.
And while this battle's going on, that's allowed Christian Maru to get a 700th of a second gap between these two. And this is the problem when you're battling for position, you're jostling on the track. It does mean you slow down, and it's allowed Christian Maru to get away a little bit. So, yeah, no, it's a great race. Tobias Rona is on the back of Charles Bacchio right now as well. So these two still battling out as I think Anders Meyer continues to close that gap up to Matt Legale as Christian Maru goes wide, and Matt Legale takes pole position. But I think Anders Meyer's now also got the slipstream as they go locked side by side down the pit straight. Oh,
this is great. It's going to be 3 wide here.
All over the place as Matt Legale takes the lead. Anders Meyer goes into the slipstream. That comes along to the right side, and Christian Maru is now taking up the and it's trying to go 3 wide as Matt Legale is on the left on the inside there, Anders Meyer on the right, and Christian Maru is kind of watching from a distance as
Anders was cut off stomps
and then Anders Meyer had to back out, which allowed Christian to get through. Unbelievable driving.
And now it's going to be a slipstream train down towards turn number 5 at the Decidio de Lago as Matt Legale leads once again. I think Anders Meer has led a lap. He just led. In fact, no, he didn't. He's not even led a lap yet.
No, he hasn't. No.
Despite nearly going through to the front, Anders has always been unlucky and gone back to third position. And one driver I was going to comment on before this battle picked up is Polly Ahonen, who has dropped back to 8th position. He was battling with Craig Patterson and has now dropped 5 seconds to behind Kreshnik Halili. So
that's a shame. Joseph Wright's fallen down to... he had fallen down to 13th, now back into 12th. He's battling away there with Anders Jensen at the moment. So
and that's his teammate Leslie Burlage in front as well.
Yeah. So Anders Jensen battling with Joseph Wright and Leslie Burlage just ahead. So you've got another DNF, I'm afraid. Johnny Stavros. So that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 DNFs. That's the most we've had. Out of any event so far, I do believe. So, yeah, Joseph Wright has unfortunately fallen back a little bit as he's under pressure from Anders Jensen.
And here we go once again into turn number 1. Matt Legale and Christian Maru make contact, wheel banging there through turn number 1. That's going to give Anders Meyer the opportunity to get in the slipstream. And it's now going to be a slipstream chain down towards turn number 4 once more as they go down into the braking zone. Matt Legale is going to come out the slipstream early. Anders Meyer is going to try and make it 3 wide, decides better of it. And Matt Legale is going to be on the inside of Christian Maru, has to take in a tighter line. And that's given Anders Meyer the opportunity to go around the outside. There's contact between the two. And Matt Legale just about stays on course, as does Christian Maru. And Anders Meyer still in third position despite that close call between the two of them. And that, look at this, it's now allowed the
two guys behind, Charles Bacchio and Tobias Rona, to get involved as well, yes. And also, I think that's bringing along Craig Patterson for the ride. So, yeah, this is...
Could be a...
Come on, Mr. Patterson. No. Let's have your best result yet. Come on, mate. I know he tries really, really hard. But, yeah, let's have a... This is unbelievable. You got one of the drivers' names wrong.
Oh, got another DNF.
Another DNF, and that is...
Manus Pappenglue.
Oh, wow. So that's 8 drivers out this evening. I'm sure we'll find out what Go Bananas someone's written in the Twitch stream. Fantastic. Right, so Christian Maru is right on the back of our race leader, currently on lap 12. We're about to start lap 13, and he goes on the inside as we approach the braking zone into turn number 1. Matt Legale gives him a lot more room this time round. Goes into the curb, but they nearly touch front and rear wheels there. And Anders Meyer again is watching from a distance, can't quite capitalise there, because there's been a couple of times when the driver who's losing out is, I think, and because of that, Anders Meyer's probably having to take off a bit more speed than he'd want. Otherwise, he'd to avoid contact with the driver in front. So, and that doesn't allow him then to take advantage as Matt Legale is now going to the outside of Christian Maru as they come into the right-hander, but I think that was the right decision. Then tries to look for the inside as Christian Maru goes a little bit wide, but then closes that door promptly. And then Matt Legale on the outside again. Christian Maru takes a bit more curb as we now switch to the left-hander as we're going to come up the hill. This is really exciting stuff. Anders Meyer is just watching from afar. We'll watch on board from Anders Meyer. I think Charles Bacchio now is... Whew, look how close he is to the top three. That's going to get a little bit interesting. Anders Meyer watching as we come now to the final corner up. Well, it's not the final corner, but it's the final corner really as you come up towards the hill. It looks like Anders Meyer is going to be in the slipstream of Matt Legale. Christian Maru, I think, is a little bit too far ahead from Legale to allow him to have the slipstream as Meyer looks to the left-hand side. Matt Legale did not leave any room there, and I think Anders Meyer had to back up, otherwise he might have hit the pit entry wall there. Oh God, I need to take a break. Go on, you talk.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the gap between the top six has come down from 4 seconds 2 laps ago to 2 seconds now, which is unbelievable. It's been hard between the top six, and you can see from this camera angle I'm on, just at the end of this long straight, that these lot are all together, and in fact the battle behind is closing up as well, because we've got Kreshnik Alili, Paul Ahonen, Dan Long and Brian Van Booskamon all nose to tail as well.
Yeah,
so what was looking like it might be a runaway at the front
as
Matt
Legale is trying to make a move again. Same time round as Anders Meyer is right on the tail of Matt Legale. This is unbelievable driving. This track and this car is just working superbly this evening and really throwing up some fantastic right. So I go back the lap. Right, Matt Legale, I'm going to ask the question: should he have left a bit more room there?
Probably. He was being very defensive. However, I do believe Anders was there just enough so Matt should have left a little bit more room. It was very, very defensive from Matt Legale, but
I think the word you're looking for is ruthless.
Yes, but then again, Anders was using the pit lane in order to try and get through. But then again, Matt put him there, so sort of a chicken and a hen kind of situation there as these top six
Craig Patterson's making a move, and Tobias Rhoda into the first corner and makes it stick. Fantastic. Up into 5th position from Mr. Patterson.
Yeah, this could go down as
and
one of the best.
Paulie Ahonen has now moved up into 7th position past Kreshnik Halili. So,
and here comes Dan Long around the outside of Kreshnik.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that's going to give Brian Van Booskamon an opportunity, but it's not, unfortunately. But Dan Long is going to get through as he is on the outside. Brakes extremely late. Kreshnik, very sideways on the curb.
I don't know if they touched.
But we've got to go back to the top of the stable because these top 4 are nose to tail now. Charles Bacchio is well within this battle, and there's been contact. Anders Meyer braking just too late, and that's given Matt Legale a little shunt in the back, probably to get going, because these top 5 are now all nose to tail. In fact, Tobias Rona also there as well. So these top 6 all together as they go through this middle sector. And once more, we're going to have a slipstream train down towards turn number 1. We're only 25 minutes into this race. We've got 20 minutes of this stuff to go. And this might be one of the best races in race department history, the way this is going down.
Oh, this is absolutely fantastic racing.
And Charles is right on the back of Anders.
He is indeed, isn't he? So looking for a slipstream as we go on board with the man currently 4th position, Charles Bacchio, as they come round past the pit entry where Anders Meyer looked like he was about to crash. Charles Bacchio goes to the right hand side. Anders Meyer covers the inside line, goes over the curb, but he kind of he has to slow him down himself a lot, which still allows Charles Bacchio just to slip past a little bit, maybe gets the slipstream down the next straight. This is allowing the top 2 to break away. Charles Bacchio and Matt Legale slowing these 2 down. And there's definite contact, but they're both. And there's more contact. Oh no! Anders Meyer, he's gone off, and he's now in 6th position. That is a shame. Hopefully not any front wing damage, as we've got Tobias Rona and Craig Patterson battling it out for 4th and 5th position. Currently, Matt Legale is still close to Charles Marie. He hasn't let him get away too far, half a second. But we'll go and have a look at this battle for the moment. Tobias Rona and Craig Patterson. Craig Patterson having a fantastic race this evening.
And Dan Long also all over the back of Polly Ahonen, going up the inside into Bigo de Pato, turn number 11, and makes it stick. So on his search back up through the pit lane, pits back up through the order, don't know where pit lane came from, Dan Long is now up to 7th position. So the championship leader is now in 7th position, but the championship leader-elect, Christian Maru, is now 6/10 clear of Matt Legale as they round on to the end of lap number 16 and now on to lap number 17.
So Dan Long's currently just under 10 seconds behind the race leader as things stand. So let's keep an eye on that time. But if you look at the drivers from 1st to 6th, which is Anders Meyer, it's 4.5 second gap. So, Anders Meyer can still come back into this.
Yeah, especially with the battling that's been going on so far. And Matt Legale is now right behind Christian Moreau once again. And we've seen Matt has the 1 lap pace, but has he got the pace to run with Christian for the entirety of this last 20 minutes? As Tobias Rona searches all over the back of Craig Patterson as they head into Fedor.
What's he searching for, I wonder? What's he looking for as we go on board with the man? No. It's very hard to make moves in this section. The driver in front has to make a mistake for you to be able to do something for this tight, twisty section.
Yes.
It isn't a great track for overtaking. It is a great track for keeping things close because it's corner after corner after corner. And you tend to find these kind of tracks, it does enable close racing like this because you haven't got lots of straights. And it's about But it's about the flow. It's about finding your flow, and I think because of that, it keeps the racing nice and tight as we're seeing this evening.
Yes,
but overtaking really is into the first corner. That's only where we've really seen the action tonight.
Yes, and we should just run from the 13th to the first corner. That would make it super exciting as Matt Legale locks up once again, and Tobias Rowan has gone very sideways through turn 1. Recovers it somehow, but lost touch now with Craig Patterson. And in fact, these top 2 have now well and truly broken clear of the next battle for 3rd position. So Matt Legale and Christian Moreau looks like the battle that is going to be for the win at the moment, but we could have a pit stop.
Craig
we don't
Patterson
know what these guys' fuel's like.
We don't. And Craig Patterson is gaining on Charles Bacchio, who's currently in 3rd position, which because he's got a bit of breathing space from Tobias Rona at the moment. So it's allowed him to focus and to charge. As Tobias Rona gets his rear end a little bit on the wonky side there. So I know we've got 15 minutes of the race to go. Your race leader currently is Christian Maru. Matt Legale is in 2nd, Charles Bacchio 3rd, Craig Patterson 4th, Tobias Rona 5th, Anders Meyer 6th, Dan Long 7th. Then who's your championship leader, but won't be if it finishes like this. Paulie Ahonen is 8th, Krishnik Halili is 9th, Brian Van Bruskum. It rounds out your top 10. Joseph Wright currently in 12th, which is, I think, was expected a little bit better than that after practice. He was feeling, I think he got a little bit egotistical earlier on and blowing his own trumpet a little bit, but that will teach him.
He said he was going to win, so I don't know where that master plan's going to come from.
No, indeed. As we look at your race leader, Christian Maru is currently closely followed by Matt Legale, and the other close battle is Craig Patterson, following Tobias Rona as things stand, and Krishnik Hilili is also closely following Paulie Ahonen for trying to get 8th position off Ahonen. It's been some great racing. 100% damage this evening. My name is Paul Glover, and I'm joined in the commentary box this evening by Peter Lee. You're watching the Race Department 2018 RDGP Round 3 at Interlagos. Yeah, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yes. A nice acronym. That's the one.
You got there in the end. You're taking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely fantastic racing this evening. Unfortunately, we do have a few drivers who have failed to finish this evening. There was an incident involving probably about 4 drivers at the start, maybe more. We didn't catch all of it because there was a lot going on at the time, as we're currently watching Craig Patterson, who's running 4th. This will be Craig Patterson's best finish of the season. I think he finished 13th in round 1, 6th in round 2, if my memory serves me right. So this is an improvement. This is fantastic for Mr. Patterson.
Yes, 6th position in the championship so far, and with Anders Jensen and Daniel Watkin behind him, this could elevate him up to 4th, maybe even 3rd position. And I think a big reshuffle of the order is going to happen after this race, because Charles Baccio and Christian Moreau, who are both within striking distance of Dan Long, are both very close.
As
in the
Craig
championship.
Patterson
Could get
takes a
through as
look down
Patterson
the
goes
inside to
through.
first corner. On Charles Baccio. Oh, and you know what? Nearly so many times you think,
Off.
Charles
Charles Baccio's off.
Oh, I don't think there was contact. I think that was on his own volition. Craig Patterson, his first thing stand, is on the podium.
And Tobias
Unbelievable.
Rona's in the pit lane.
Right, so we've got who's in the pit lane?
Tobias Rona, 10th
Tobias
position.
Rona. Oh yes, he is indeed, and he's just exited now. So he was in there for 33 seconds.
Yes.
So that's more than a splash. I don't know if that's a splash and dash early on. He's probably thinking, "I do it now while he can, and maybe get a bit of clear track to put in some lap times." And he comes out in where 10th position.
10th.
So okay, all right, fantastic. Charles, go look at these two. Look at these two. Tobias Rona. Sorry, Charles Baccio and Anders Meyer. So Charles Baccio lost out to Craig Patterson on 3rd position. He was looking for a podium. Went off at his own volition. Don't think there was any contact. I think there was a potential contact as they came into the entry of the 2nd corner, but I'm not sure, and the angle was not really fair. And then Charles Baccio went off. He went off the track. So, wow.
Yeah, and the wall is very close there.
Yeah.
Bites you.
So, Craig Patterson currently your
And
man.
Charles is
3rd.
into the pit lane, I think.
He is.
Yes, he is.
Yes. Okay, interesting.
And one of the interesting things about these cars, which I didn't know before I drove them earlier on today, is that they've no pit speed limiter.
Oh wow, interesting.
So you've got to do it manually.
Right, so as Charles Baccio goes into the pits after his recent off, Matt Legale is still applying pressure to Christian Moreau. Now, 3rd man, Craig Patterson, is 3 seconds back from the lead. Can he close down? If these two keep battling, there's every chance. And that little 6-way battle that we saw about, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, it's gone. These guys have just left them.
Yeah, it's completely disintegrated in front of our own eyes, and steadily, from what we thought was going to be an barnstormer of a race, has turned into a battle for 1st position and a battle for 6th position now, as a number of drivers have gone off the circuit. And one driver we thought was not going to be anywhere near in this round was Dan Long after he went off on the 1st lap. We don't know how, but he dropped back to 13th. He's now up into top 5.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And Anders Meyer, who I believe was probably got damaged after that contact and has certainly been off the pace, is doing 135s at the moment, whereas Dan Long is doing 134s. Is possibly as Dan Long comes into pit lane.
Right, so Dan Long was still around about 9 seconds
And Matt
behind
Legale's
the
in.
lead. He's in the pits as well. Right, okay.
Is this the confirmation that you do have to pit?
Yeah, well, it does look like it, doesn't it? So Christian Moreau then is now got a bit of breathing space. So Craig Patterson currently is provisional 2nd. He's not going to finish there, of course. I suspect, but he's definitely looking for 3rd position as things stand. Christian Helilik is on Paulia Brian. Oh yeah, I don't quite know. Paulia Honan is still ahead of these guys. Christian Helilik in 5th. Brian Van Bruskum is trying to take a look at Christian Helilik. These 3 battling away. 5th, 6th, and 4th, 5th, and 6th even. And not far ahead of them is Anders Meyer as well, who's pitted momentarily ago. So, yeah, Dan Long is now out of the pits. That was 20 seconds, 7 seconds. Matt Legale is also out of the pits as well. That was 28 seconds. So, the slowest pit I've seen so far was 33.
Yes, Tobias Rona.
Yeah. So,
But I believe Christian will pit now. Will he? No, he won't. Okay.
Oh, no.
So I was thinking that would be the undercut from Matt Legale, but evidently not. Christian decided to go further and further into this race.
And Craig Patterson also making the same decision. And so have Paul Leone and Christian Haley and Brian Briscombe. Anders Meyer is in the pits. Okay.
So will he auto fix damage as well, if he has any?
Yeah, we'll see how long he's in the pits for. That'll give us a good idea. Christian Maru, currently your race leader. Craig Blooming Patterson in second position. He's closed that gap. It was 4 seconds before the pit stop of Matt Legale. It's now down to 3.5. So he's gained approximately a second there, which is good going. Paulie Ahonen currently in provisional third. Christic Halili fourth. Brian Briscombe fifth. Matt Legale after his pit stop in sixth. So Dan Long has come out behind Matt Legale. Now, Matt Legale was provisional second before the round of pit stop. So does that mean that Dan Long could potentially get on the podium? That's interesting.
He's jumped Charles Baccio and Tobias Rona.
Yeah, so Charles Baccio, yeah, he has.
So that's
unbelievable from Dan Long.
So that's net second position.
Potentially, yes. He might knock Craig Patterson off.
Christian's in.
Right. Okay, so Craig Patterson's about to take the lead.
I don't know why you're so shocked.
I'm excited for him. I love this.
This is what racing's all about, ladies and gentlemen,
if
you're watching.
Yeah. Right, so Craig Patterson, currently your race leader. I haven't had to say that before. Paulie Ahonen.
Christian now out the pit lane.
Okay, so where does that bring him?
This is going to be close.
Where's Matt Legale?
Through turn one. I think Christian's going to have it by a few seconds, actually.
He is.
How long was that pit stop?
It was
about
26
seconds.
26.
26.
So about a second quicker, yeah. But I guess, that's because you have to put less fuel in, I would imagine, and that's why it's... I don't know. I don't think they would have done a tyre change. We don't really get that kind of information, do we? We just know they pitted. We don't know what's done. So Charles Baccio has just fallen back to P9 because Tobias Rona has got past and is now up into P8. But I'm interested to see what this man's going to do. Because he qualified. Where is my screen? He qualified in 5th. Fell quite a way back at the start. Don't really know what happened, if he got caught up in a couple of instances, or if he spun. We didn't really see, and is now moved up into speed, slowly moving up into so. He's currently though 27 seconds off the lead, which is Craig Patterson.
Who's into the pits.
Who's now going to the pits. So, okay, so does Paulie Ahonen come into the pits as well? Nope, he doesn't. So he now takes the race lead. Christian Halili and Brian Briscombe all stay. So Christian Maru, who's currently in 5th, who I think is going to end up being your race leader again, is coming into the first corner. Mr. Patterson is now exiting.
Can he get
the pits.
out in front of Matt Legale?
Interesting.
It's going to be close.
27 seconds pit stop. Oh my.
This is going to be side by side.
Oh my, he's done it. He's only gone and done it. He's only gone and done it. Yes.
And he has.
Unbelievable.
That's second position, net second position.
Net second position. Unbelievable.
Well, it could be 5th position if these top 3 don't
pit. It's only 4.5 minutes to go, my man. This is like 4.5 minutes remaining of this race. This is
so.
Will
these top 3 pit? That is the question now.
Well, yeah. I mean, they've got to, surely. Everyone else has.
Well, they might have been lifting and coasting a lot more than everyone else.
They might well have been. Yeah, they might not be going out for
the Formula E strategies.
This is just unbelievable. This is just fantastic. Go, Mr. Patterson. Oh, I'm so pleased for him. He's such a nice guy as well. So yeah, good evening.
Do you know he has a cart that is in exactly the same livery as his car is in game?
Oh really? I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, he's. Oh, and Kreshnik Halili's back to sim racing. He's back. It's in the pit lane.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. So Paul Honan carries on. So that's going to move Christian Moreau up into third, and Craig Patterson will go up into fourth when he goes past as well. So yeah, and Matt Legale into fifth. So Kreshnik Halili falls down the order as he's in the pits. So how long is that going to be for? Brian Van Brusken is currently in second with his lovely livery of a car. So these guys, like you say, could be lifting. What are the chances? Slim to none. 3 minutes remaining. What's going to happen? Are they going to pit? Yes or no?
Looking at the gears that they're using, it's looking very considerate on the gears.
Right, okay.
So they're either lifting and coasting a lot in order to try and make it to the end, of which we have 2 minutes to go.
Okay. Paulie Honan, someone's just pointed out, and they're right. He's set the fast lap of the race, 1:33.9.
Okay.
So if he was lifted and coasting right now, he wouldn't be setting that bad boy. So maybe he has been holding back. And
he's on 1:35.
Right, we're on board now. Let's see what this man's
Christian
going to do.
Moreau's on 1:34s. And only 4 seconds behind.
Is he going to pit? No. 2 minutes remain. 2 minutes remain. This is unbelievable. Brian Van Brusken is also not pitted, and he's currently in P2. And this is unbelievable. Your pole sitter, your pole sitter is currently in fifth. Matt Legale, who was down in the pits by this man, Craig Patterson. Unbelievable. Craig Patterson qualified 8th this evening.
More troubles for Matt Legale. Look who is behind him.
Oh, Dan Long. Oh, God. Dan's going gobbity, gobbity, gobble. I'm going to gobble you up in a second. That's what he's going to do. Right, on board with Dan Long then. Following Matt Legale, who was your pole sitter this evening and currently in 5th in the championship. Matt Legale is where? I'm terrible at this bit.
19th.
19th, yeah, not great. Okay.
And Dan's made a move.
He has. Oh, and Matt Legale gave a bit of room, more than he gave Anders Meyer earlier on.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't want to check out the championship leader.
Well, I wouldn't want to take.
And Dan's going to keep on fighting through turn 11.
He's on the inside now, and that's it. That's the move done. Yeah.
Ollie Honan coming through to the line. How long is left?
35 seconds.
So, and he's not pitting.
Brian Van Brusken.
1 lap to go.
He's in second. No, Brian Van Brusken's
pitting.
Right, so that's going to give Christian Moreau second and Craig Patterson third.
On the podium.
Oh, unbelievable, Mr. Patterson. Right. Paulie Honan.
Can Paulie Honan make it? He's got 1 lap to do, and that gap is looking good. He's still 5 seconds ahead.
He is indeed. And Craig Patterson is 4 seconds behind Christian Moreau. Dan Long is 5 seconds behind Craig Patterson. Oh, this is this is fantastic. Brian Van Brusken comes out 24 seconds into the pits. He comes out into 8th position. No, I think he's going to fall back to 9th. No, he is going to be in 8th. Okay, right. Anders Meyer's in 9th. It's a shame, really. He was having a good race earlier on. So, race leader. This is the final lap, isn't it?
I believe so, unless we've got 1 extra.
Last time this confused me. I don't quite understand this game, if I'm being honest. It doesn't tell you. But I think this is going to be... Because I thought last time it might, but I think this is going to be the final last couple of corners for Paulie Honan. Your race leader and race winner, I think.
Is that a Honan?
But I think he's probably going to go into the pit. Now...
It's a no mandatory stop,
Oh,
so he doesn't have
oh.
to. Oh,
He's short shifting there. Really short shifting.
can he make it to the line? Is this the last lap? Has he won? Yeah, yes!
Yes!
Paulie Ahonen wins!
He's done it. Unbelievable.
Christian Moreau finishes second.
Second.
He's outsmarted everyone.
Craig Patterson, third. Fantastic. He's on the podium. Dan Long,
fourth.
fourth. And then it's battling out between Matt Legale,
Oh!
who gets
Just finished
fifth.
ahead of his teammate.
Yeah, Tobias Rona. Charles Bacchio, seventh. Brian Van Buscum finishes eighth. Anders Meyer, ninth. He'll be disappointed with that. Joseph Wright crossed the line in 10th. That's an impressive finish. Christina Halili, 11th. Leslie Burlidge coming across the line for 12th. Oh, unbelievable. Anders Jensen, heavy jury has already finished, and he finished 14th. And now we're just waiting for Anders Jensen to cross the line to finish in 13th. Eric Ockverk. I think I've been saying his name wrong all throughout this league.
I think that's right.
Is it? Okay, well, I hope so.
I hope.
15th. And then we're just waiting for
I
Cole
think
Little to finish
Paulie
us off.
Ahonen has just run out of fuel on his in-lap.
That doesn't surprise me one little bit, if I'm being honest.
No.
Fantastic racing this evening, Peter. How do you describe that?
I don't have the words, honestly. So surprising. I'm so happy for Paulie Ahonen that his strategy paid off, and I'm excited to speak to him, see what he has to say.
Yeah.
See how he pulled it off, and he also got the fastest lap as well.
It's unbelievable. I just can't quite believe what just evolved in front of our eyes. I'm just blown away. Unbelievable. Wow. I didn't see that coming. Did you?
Not at all. Not at all.
So let's.
So I believe we do have them in the green room,
We
so
do.
we can bring them forward.
We'll go enjoy them very, very shortly. But we'll just give you the rundown from first to last. So race winner Paulie Ahonen. So that makes things interesting. Christian Moreau. I think it's going to be the championship leader after this.
By 1 point.
By 1 point, Christian Moreau. Craig Patterson getting a very, very good third position there. Dan Long finishing in fourth. Battled his way back up there. That's a really good. Matt Legale had led the race for quite some time, but finishes fifth. Tobias Rona sixth. Charles Bucko seventh. Brian Van Buscum eighth. Anders Meyer finishes ninth. Again, after battling with Craig Patterson, seemed to lose the rear end and fell back and then pitted straight away. Joseph Wright with a respectable top 10 finish this week. Do you want to take the rest?
Unfortunately, I can't because I've exited the game.
Okay.
I don't have access to it anymore.
Christian Halili finishes 11th. Leslie Burlidge 12th. Henry Jury 13th. Eric Ockverk 14th. Anders Jensen 15th. Cole Little 16th. Simon Marshall 17th. In 18th is Andrew Harper. Then we got in 19th Manos Papalongu. 20th Johnny Stavros, Paul Fenwick, and then we got the people who didn't finish: Paul Fenwick, Daniel Watkin, Christoph Madge, Lorenzo Bonner, Fernando Deutsch, and Johan Holbert. Right, in the green room, we'll go and join them now, are our race finishers first, second, and third. So let's go hop over.
Actually, right now.
Good evening. Good evening,
Hello.
Gentlemen. Good evening.
Hello.
Wow. What can I say? Peter and I are lost for words. That was really some exciting racing there, guys. So let's start with our race winner this evening, Paulie Ahonen. Paulie, we didn't see that coming. Did you?
No, I thought top guys would not have to bid, but seems like everybody did it.
Yeah. So now one of the things we did notice is in the warm-up lap, all drivers, including yourself, were keeping the gear in very, very high. I'm guessing that was to reserve the fuel because you knew it was going to be tight this evening.
You mean the fuel was gonna be tight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saving fuel.
And were you saving fuel throughout the race as well, Paulie?
Yeah, every lap.
Every lap. And then towards the last, you set the fastest lap of the race with 1:33.8 as well. So you put from your, it was just a long game for you, was it, this evening? Just sort of taking your time and taking the opportunity and making the strategy work for you.
Yeah, just driving smooth all the way.
Great, absolutely fantastic.
Kind of easy.
Fantastic stuff, Paulie. Congratulations. That was just, we did not see that coming. So, congratulations. Christian, good evening again. Third time on the podium, this time not on the top step. Some great racing with Matt Nagale at the start. He got a blinding getaway from you, got a bit of a gap, and then you managed to close that down and get past. Talk us through it.
So I think I noticed around the first, it was the end of the first lap, that both Matt and Anders had much lower downforce. You could tell on the straights they were really pulling, and I was kind of realizing, okay, this might be tough, especially when the tires start to go off. But really intense up front with Anders and myself and Matt battling. There was that little gaggle coming out of turn one where I managed to slip on the inside of Anders and get him back. I really didn't want to get stuck back there. And then once I got in front of Matt, it was really just trying to manage the tires. In practice, the tires were a hell of a lot better than they ended up being in the race.
Oh, really?
That's probably why things were a little bit closer than I would have liked. But then, honestly, I'm absolutely floored right now because I'm trying to. Van Booskom and Honan were in front of me, and I was like, well, surely they're going to have to pit because I have no idea how you could save 2.5. You have to save 2.5 laps of fuel to be able to get to the end.
Yeah.
And then I saw Van Booskom go in. I was like, okay, well, what's Paulie going to do? Is he going to hit the pits on the last lap somehow to try and
That's
get a short
what we thought he was
run
going to do. Yeah.
Yes, so that's what I was thinking. And then, no, there he was crossing the finish line. So, I mean, credit to him.
I mean, you should have heard the cheer gate, the gate, because we went on board with Paulie as he went up the hill and he changed gear very, very early. But I mean, he had quite a nice gap from you. I think about 4 or 5 seconds at that point, and then you had Craig Patterson behind you, the 4 to 5 seconds behind, so you didn't have any pressure either. So,
well, I mean, to be honest, so we Craig and I coordinated our pit stops, and then when Craig came out, he was in front of Matt. So I went, okay, well, we're on schedule for a 1-2. So at that point, we just managed the gap for the last 5 laps, and Bob's your uncle. And next thing you know, I'm like, okay, we've got 4 cars in front of us. I guess they'll all pit. And then, nope, I was wrong. So, really interesting race. Still happy with the result. We got the championship points that we wanted in the end.
Yeah. So, fantastic. The man that I was cheering on in this race is on the third and final step of the podium. Craig, this is your best result, I think, isn't it, from league racing that I've seen from you previously? Correct me if I'm wrong, but how was that for you this evening? How was that? That looked intense.
It was intense. Quali, I just couldn't get the lap that I
you qualified
wanted.
8th, didn't you?
Yeah, I could have probably find a few more tenths, but I just couldn't get the lap together. Early on in the practice session, we were doing some race simulation, and the car felt really good in race trim compared to quali trim, so I felt quite confident going into the race. Obviously, got an all right start, and literally just put the head down and just concentrate, not make mistakes, and try and go as quick as you can, really.
So you're having quite a battle with Paulie Ahonen, weren't you, at one point into the first couple of corners, and you guys, it looked very close as you came into the second section of that corner. I don't know if you touched, I couldn't quite see from the camera angle on the game givers, but I don't think you did. And then he just seemed to lose the rear end and gave you that position, and you were kind of scot-free at that point. But were you worried a little bit about Dan Long at all? Because he was setting some pace out there as well. He had fallen back at the start, but were you worried about that he was going to come and ruin your day for you?
If Dan came up behind me, then it would have been inevitable, because I know Dan and Christian are just a little bit quicker than me at the moment. But I'll get there with Paulie. It was tight at the beginning. I couldn't get him away from my slipstream, no matter how hard I tried. I think the higher downforce helped build up a little gap going through the middle part of the track to keep them behind. But yeah, I'm thankful for the mistake that you made.
Well, congratulations to Craig. Congratulations to Paulie for your race win, and Christian Maru finishing second. And Craig Patson on the third and final step. At one point, it was just fantastic because where you guys were battling, where Matt Nagale and Christian Maru and Paulie Ahonen were battling, it allowed the top 6 to come very close together, and then within 5 minutes that all disintegrated. I don't know if you saw, but at the start there was quite an incident as well. We lost about 4 drivers, and we've had about 8 DNFs tonight, which I think is the most we've had of any round. But thank you for the drivers for joining us in the green room this evening. Thank you for everybody
Craig.
I was literally shouting his name. I don't know why Joseph is talking. Joseph, shush, you're in the green room. Right, so thank you very much to everybody watching the race this evening. Thank you for the top 3 drivers. We're on to round 4 next Sunday. Remind me, Peter, where's that?
Nola.
Thank you. I've never been there. Don't know the circuit, so I've never even heard of it until I Googled it. So you're looking forward to that one, are you, Craig?
I don't know it.
Yeah.
Great track.
I've done about 3 laps.
No, it's going to be good. There's lots of different racing lines. I think it's going to create better battles than what we saw here, even.
Well, so we thought this track was fantastic for it, and we thoroughly enjoyed commentating on it this evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for covering me tonight, especially when I had to go get my chicken out of the oven. Peter Lee.
It's no problem.
We have some fun here at Race Department. Don't forget, you can check us out at racedepartment.com. Check out the forums for club racing. Learn your trade. Come and join us and take part and battle the likes of Christian and Paulie and Craig in league racing. And Joseph, you'll generally be faster than him anyway, who finished 10th tonight. It's not bad for you, Mr. Wright. Actually, quite impressed with that.
I know. I didn't even need to pit either, so I'm
Well
really
done.
happy. I ran out of fuel on the last lap.
Well done. Well done. All joking aside, do check us out. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. We're everywhere you need to be. And we'll see you all next weekend. And until then, have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.